25,000 feet over the Alaskan interior, a heavy bomber stopped flying and began to fall. It fell into a spin the pilots could not break, and the order came down the fuselage: jump. A 24-year-old co-pilot threw himself into the dark and came down hip-deep in the snow. Above him, the plane struck a ridge and went up in a blot of red flame. 4 men had been on it with him. He would never see them alive again. It was 40 below, he had no food, and no one on Earth knew where he was. Leon Crane was a city kid, Philadelphia, an engineer by training, an airman by the war. By December 1943, he was flying test flights out of Ladd Field near Fairbanks, and he had never spent a single night alone in the woods. The flight was routine, feathered the propellers at altitude, but the instruments froze, an engine quit, and the heavy bomber fell. That first night, at 40 below, would have killed him. He gathered spruce boughs and struck a match, and the wind took the flame. He struck another. Nothing. So he took out the one thing he'd carried from home, a letter from his father, and fed it to the fire. It caught, and it held. He wrapped himself in the parachute silk like a silkworm in a cocoon, and slept in 2-hour bursts, waking to build the fire back up. For 9 days, he waited for a search that never came. He built a spear, a bow, a slingshot, and the woods would not feed him. So he stepped onto the frozen Charlie River and started walking downstream toward the Yukon, toward anyone. He didn't know it, but that country hid a thin lifeline. Trappers who left cabins stocked with food for strangers they would never meet. On about the 9th day, half buried in snow, he found one. A trapper's cabin and a cache raised up on poles. Canned food, sugar, powdered milk, a rifle, mittens made of moose hide. A man named Phil Burrell had built it and would never know whose life it saved. Jon had hot cocoa in his hands within minutes. For the first time since the sky fell, he was going to be all right. He rested. He thawed his frost-bitten hands and feet. And he understood the empty country hadn't been empty at all. Strangers had reached across it to keep him alive. But the cabin was not rescue. To get home, he would have to walk back into the worst of it. In February, he packed a sled and within a day gave it up. Too heavy. So he carried what he could and walked. Ahead of him lay something close to 120 miles of frozen river and open cold. He shot ptarmigan to eat. He walked through storms that erased the world. And then the river betrayed him. The ice gave way and he went in. Soaked at 40 below, a man has minutes. He got a fire lit and dried his clothes inch by inch while the cold pressed in to finish it. It did not finish it. Days later, he crossed something that stopped him cold. A sled trail, not his. He followed it. And at the end of it stood a cabin, smoke rising from the chimney, and a trapper named Al Ames, who took the stranger in without a second thought. Somewhere in that cabin, Leon caught his own reflection, gaunt, bearded, a face he didn't recognize. By Ames's reckoning, he had walked about 120 miles. He had been out there for something like 12 weeks, and he was alive. Ames fed him, rested him, then mushed him out by dog sled to a mining camp on the Yukon. From there, a plane to Fairbanks, and Leon Crane walked back onto Ladd Field, a man the army had long since given up for dead. But 4 men had not walked out. Their bomber still lies on that mountain. The Park Service keeps it now as a memorial. 2 of the crew were recovered soon after. It took more than 60 years to bring the pilot home and lay him to rest at Arlington. 1 man was never found. The city kid who couldn't kill a squirrel went home to Philadelphia and spent his life as an engineer helping design the machines that fly. What carried him out wasn't strength, and it wasn't luck alone. It was a stubborn mind and a chain of strangers who left a light in the dark. He was written off. He walked home anyway.